Alright, here we're going to look at just a couple examples on how to graph circles. So the first example, we are giving you the equation of the line. So all you have to do with this one is you have to pull out the required information for you to graph. So for example, we have to pull out your center, which we know is the point HK. So in this case, we're looking at the 2 and the 4. And so here my center is going to be at the points 2, -4. And so we can go ahead and come right over here into our graph and actually graph that point. Okay, so we're going to plot the point over 2, 1, 2, 3, down 4. This is my center point here, and I'm going to mark it with the C just so that I remember. Now the other thing that we have to, or the other piece that we have to pull out of your equation is we have to pull out your radius. So that is always going to be the value over here, but remember when we're talking about the equation of a circle, this value is actually the squared. So my radius is going to be the square root of 9, which in this case happens to be 3. Now what we're going to do to graph is very simple. I'm going to go ahead and so what we're going to do here is we are going to start at your center, and we are going to go up, down, left, and right according to your radius. Okay? So here we're going to start at the center and we're going to count up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a little dot kind of up here as a guide. Then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, do the same thing. I'm going to go back to center and go down 1, 2, 3, back to center and go to the left 1, 2, 3. So I have these 4 points now around my circle, and all I'm simply going to do is connect these dots as best as I can. Okay. Now notice my circle is not absolutely perfect, and yours won't be either when you graph by hand, because none of us are perfect. All we can do is just be as close as possible. Okay, and so there you go. That's all you need to know about graphing circles when given the actual equation. Now what happens if I don't give you the equation? So notice here I want you to graph the circle, but I haven't given you standard form. Well, I have to create standard form. The way I create my standard form is by completing the square. So I have to find my center, and I have to find my radius. And to do that, I'm going to complete the square for x and y. So let's go ahead and start setting that up. So the first thing I need to do is I need to group my x terms together. So here this is going to be x squared minus a 2x. I'm going to give myself a space, and then I have y squared plus a 6y, and I'm going to give myself that space, and this equals a -2. And here I've got 2 spaces. So to complete the square is very simple. I have an x term and I have a y term. So first let's go ahead and look at the x. To figure out what I need, we're going to do your b term divided by 2 and square it. Okay? Now your sign is very important, so we're going to carry that with. My b term is this -2. So this is -2, I'm going to divide by 2 and square it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do my reduction first. So here this becomes -1 that I'm squaring, and when I square it I get a 1. Now the reason this is so important is because first, my term right here on the end, this one, is what goes up into this first blank and is what goes over into the first blank on this side. Okay. So we now know part of what's going on with my terms. Now the second piece that is uber important, I've never said uber before, is this middle term right here. This -1 is going to be your perfect square. Okay, so this is essentially the h term. Now, that all being said, I still have to do the y side. So let's go ahead and look at that. So this over here is going to be the same. I'm going to have my y term over 2 and square it. So in this case, my y is this +6 piece. So this is going to be a +6 over 2 and square it. 6 over 2 reduces to 3, so this is a +3 and square it. That gives you 9. So just like before, this 9 right here is what goes up into my 2 missing blanks. Well, that means this +3 right here is going to be my k value. So let's take a look at how that works. So here what we'd end up with is we would end up with x squared minus a 2x minus 1 plus y squared plus a 6y, plus 1 plus 9 is equal to -2 plus 1 plus 9. If we look at this first piece, this is a perfect square. And it's a perfect square at x minus 1 squared. This second piece is my second perfect square at y plus 3 squared. And then 9 plus 1 is 10 minus 2 gives me 8. Now normally in Complete the Square we would keep going and you would actually solve for your variables, but at this point if you look close you can see that what I actually have here is that this is standard form of a circle. So that is where we can actually stop. Now here we can pick out the missing information. We need a center and we need the radius. So my center is going to be the point 1, -3, and my radius is going to be the square root of 8, which is the same as 2 square roots of 2. Okay. Now, for all intents and purposes of graphing, we know this to be a little over 2, roughly 2.83. So here I can I have everything I need in order to graph. So the first thing that I have here is I have my center is at the point 1, 1, 2, 3. So this is my center point. Now just like before I have my radius, so my radius is almost 3. So I'm going to start at my center and I'm going to go up 1, 2, almost 3. I'm going to start at my center, go 1, 2, almost 3 down. Start at the center, go 1, 2, almost 3 to the right, and 1, 2, almost 3 to the left. Now just like before, I'm going to go ahead and connect all of my dots in a circular motion. And there I have it, my circle. Alright, now what happens, last example, if I'm given an equation like this one where I have coefficients attached to my x terms? Well, when that happens, it's the same as if I didn't, only here I have to divide it out. So I still have to complete the square. I still need to find my center and my radius. And I'm going to do that by grouping my terms again. So I have 4x squared minus a 24x. I've got a space here. Then I have my 4y squared plus a 24y, give me a space, is equal to 28. So I have to have my y, my square terms, so my x and my y terms, they have to be a coefficient of 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 4. This gives me x squared minus a 6x plus y squared plus a 6y equals 7, and I have my 2 spaces. Just like with the last problem, I have to complete the square for each piece. Okay? So let's go ahead and do the first part. So here for my x term, I'm dealing with the negative 6. So I have negative 6 over 2 and square it. When I reduce that, I end up with negative 3 and square it, gives me 9. So I have a plus 9 that goes in this first blank on either side of my equation. Now I need to do the other. So this is going to be my y term squared. Here my y term is positive 6. So this is a positive 6 over 2 and square it. When I reduce that fraction, I get a positive 3 squared, which is going to give me a 9. So my second blanks are going to have a plus 9 in both blanks. So I can rewrite my equations, and again, what I have to remember is that this term right in here, the negative 3, is my h, and this positive 3 is my k. So I'm going to rewrite my equation to reflect that. So this is going to be x plus, jumped ahead of myself here. So this is x minus 3 squared plus, and I'm going to have y plus 3 squared is equal to 7 plus 9 plus 9, which is going to give me a 25. So I have everything I need once again in order to find my center and radius. So my center point here is going to be at the point 3, negative 3. My radius is the square root of 25, which is going to give me a 5. So just like before, I'm going to go ahead and graph my points. So first I'm going to graph the center. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to put a little C there to denote the center. And now I'm going to graph my radius. So I'm going to go up, down, left, and right 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, like before, we're going to go ahead and just simply connect your dots in as circular motion as possible. And there you have it. That is everything that you would need to know to be able to get started with and or work with the ideas behind graphing equations of circles given specific lines or equations. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any of these completing the square problems that are just driving you crazy and you can't figure them out, Go ahead and send them my direction. I would love to help point you in the right direction. Otherwise, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.